So basically, the Martian Chronicles is a collection of short stories which the human race colonized Mars, killing off the natives in the process, eventually, due to chickenpox. All of these stories take place in the same alternate history, and lay them out in what seems at first to be a captain's log, but each is a short story. What I mean is, like, every short story says, like, date, has a date to it, even though it really doesn't really matter. They could have just put short stories, but anywho. Of course, I can't go over every short story, but I'll talk about 6 of my favorites. And The Moon Still Be Bright is probably one of the most memorable. Mostly, there was a lot of different, like, colonization attempts, but this one was probably the fourth and the actual successful. It's like everybody was pretty much partying due to getting there. Kind of like, except for the one person who comes in the distance off by himself, just thinking. This mostly because of just studying what the Martians actually were, and he believes that they pretty much made a superior society. Until, like, after he disappears for 2 weeks, but eventually started picking off the crew one by one. Mostly just so humankind would corrupt Mars. And eventually he got to the captain, and they had a talk. The captain was more sympathetic to what his idealism and philosophy, but still, they had to take out Spender. And humans colonize. Usher 2 is another one. This is when, like, everything's already colonized. Mars is pretty much colonized fully. And this aristocrat, or not really an aristocrat, this is someone wealthy, builds this gigantic, like, mansion full of, like, robots to reflect, like, different kind of fantasy works, like Wizard of Oz, Edgar Allan Poe. Poems and fiction are pretty much public domain by now. And this is not too much I can say without really spoiling the ending. I'll say it's kind of disturbing. The big thing about that story, Usher 2, is just on censorship, because the big thing is, like, fiction's being, like, censored out for being useless. Way in the middle of the air, it has a really racial theme to it. This, like, persecution. Basically, all of the African Americans are going on a rocket to go to space in Mars. And, you know, this is in Deep South, so people are just kind of like saying words that can't really repeat out in school. Anyway. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, this one person, manservant, black guy, wants to go into the rocket, but pretty much his owner tries every excuse in the book from keeping him to get on the rocket. I mean, he's low on money, so the other black community like pay for him and everything. Once he's on the rocket, he goes home, gets his stuff. Once he goes out, his owner tries to chase him, but it was too late. And no matter what, the black guy was always treated his owner with respect. Which is a point repeated throughout the book. Next slide. Silent Towns. This one's more kind of funny when you think about it. Basically, there's been a war on Earth, so most people went back to Earth to just, you know, if you're on another planet and most of your people, like friends and family, are on another planet where there's war, you're kind of like, hey, I want to check to see if they're okay. Anyway, there's only like one person on Earth left, Walter Grip, and he's kind of monotonous. There's like lots of stockpiled food and everything, so he's okay, he can eat, but he started to get lonely. Until he saw, one day, he walked by a telephone and it was ringing, and then he heard a woman on the other side, and he's like, anyway, so he basically goes to the town she was in, and lo and behold, when he got there, he saw this big, bloated It's like a host. It pretty much constitutes as a hostess box. She was loud, obnoxious, and he just drove out after spending a day with her. In the off season, basically, like one of the surviving crew members from the Moon Stay Bright, Parkhill, I believe his name was, opens up a hot dog stand out of surplus food. He's making a big deal, like, this is the first hot dog stand on Mars. This is the big deal, my wife. She's like, I don't really care. Anyway, apparently, and then he ran into a Martian, like one of the last surviving Martians that actually had an immunity to chickenpox. And out of just pure, what he thought he had a weapon was really like a message communicator thing. So Parkhill shot the Martian. And eventually he was being chased by a whole bunch of the survivors. And there was this big chase scene on some sci-fi magic sand boat thing. Kind of weird. And there will come soft rains. One thing I researched, and this short story is not in every copy of the Martian Chronicles. So I guess I got lucked out. Basically, it focuses around this automated house on Earth. That pretty much everything's automated. Like, food is cooked at precise time. Like, music's played at certain times of the day. The thing is, all the people living on it are pretty much long gone. And it sort of gives the message that, you know, humans really don't impact nature too much. I mean, nature be fine without us. Next slide. One of, like, the, of course, common intertwined themes of the book is pretty much like expressed through There Will Be Soft Rains. That's one of the biggest themes throughout the book, that human insignificance when it comes to the rest of nature. And yeah, and relationships and lives are bad, okay. I thought it was a pretty good book overall. I mean, not every short story was that interesting, but the ones that did really stick around, and I enjoy them. And yeah, if I ever decide to write, Reverie will be an inspiration.
Nice.